Israel Adesanya wanted to prove something at UFC 259. Muscles don't win fights, and it ended up being true. The reason why Jan Blachowicz is still the 205 champion isn't his power, but rather his underestimated fight IQ. Everything in this fight for Jan, his defense, his reactions to the feints, his head movement, his awareness, his use of the grappling threat, everything was brilliantly calculated to nullify the best striker he'd ever faced. How could he cause so many problems to Izzy? Why was the fight competitive on the feet? The fight starts. Right away, the feinting game is on for both gentlemen, but something's up. When Adesanya really commits on a kick feint, Blachowicz shows a noticeable reaction. This is the kind of tendency Adesanya likes to exploit. Later in the round, there's another one, but what is there to exploit? What strike can you throw to pierce that kind of shell? This is the sort of defense you could never use against someone like DC, because he would just take you down at will. But against Izzy, it seems like a very effective thing to do. Plus, as you can see, Israel is already getting accustomed to this reaction already. He's not expecting anything but a defensive pattern from Blachowicz in that position. A few seconds later, we witness the first range problems for Israel. Look, Izzy comes in with the left hand from southpaw, even stepping on Jan's foot. Blachowicz shows his brilliant snappy head movement to escape the punch and immediately counterattacks forward. Even if that left doesn't touch the target, it still tracks the line of head movement extremely well. It creates a position in which there is no counter possibility for Stylebender because he's so off balance. That was probably the most impressive thing in this fight, how Jan was able to avoid most of Adesanya's counters by not even giving him opportunities to throw them. I mean, look at this. Blachowicz comes forward and dips his forehead down just to make the grappling threat obvious, and then he uses all of his range to clip Izzy from very far away. It's the sort of position where Israel can't possibly counter Jan while just pulling back. He has to come off the center line to one side or the other, plant his feet, and then unleash his counter. But he doesn't want to do that, because it would put him closer to the grappling threat that Jan just reminded him of a second ago. Second round. Here, we see a few interesting things. Another kick feint from Adesanya, another universal block from Blachowicz. But this time, Jan throws the left hook while his leg's still in the air. Izzy leans back and counters. This is what he does to everyone. This is a punch his other opponents never see coming. But Jan anticipates it, and his head movement dismisses it. Izzy wants to go again, but there's nothing to aim at. People need to stop underestimating Jan, man, myself included. Look at this head movement. It's insane. Their feet are literally crossed. Adesanya is at the freaking limit of his range, and despite that, Blachowicz still moves out of the way in time. Hands low, leaned back. That's like something Izzy would do. But just because it looks more square, less fluid, we tend to overlook his talents a little bit. But make no mistake about it, Jan's head movement has been world class for a while now. And more than that, Jan Blachowicz is a complete fighter, which is why he can use the grappling threat to land good clean shots on his worried opponent. This one lands on the chin. Izzy tries to exit to the side to counter, but Jan crowds him quickly with his grappling, and all of a sudden both men are too close to each other for Israel to attempt such a thing. That's a round in the bank for Poland. Third, Jan goes in with the big right, winning the outside foot battle easily. Now look at the effect this attack has on Adesanya. He leans back so far. His head and chest are about a mile behind his legs. Blachowicz identifies that tendency, and it will pay dividends for him eventually. However, he still has to be careful, because right after briefly taking Izzy down, he gets caught by Israel's classic counter combo. He escapes the right, but waits too long inside the pocket, and pays for it. It's the biggest moment of the fight so far for the last Stylebender. He seems to be finding his range, finally. But a minute later, once the master of bait finds himself in his favorite position, it's clear. His options are limited. Because Jan stays compact, he does not expose his chin at all, and he is supremely aware of Adesanya's potential counters. Izzy's never been outplayed in range like this. Just touching him clean is normally an impossibility. But not for Mr. Blachowicz. Fourth round. Adesanya throws a feint, and Jan reacts one more time the same way. But just like in the first round, Izzy is not worried about Jan in this position, and Blachowicz completely surprises him with a takedown attempt. The grappling threat is getting real, and it makes everything a bit easier for Jan. This is a key moment in the fight. It's been pretty even so far, but now Jan is looking to exploit Izzy's game plan against him. If you know you can trigger a counter from your opponent, it means you can approximately control his movement. If you can encourage your rival to enter the matrix while sneakily being the one to play tricks, your enemy will never see you coming. And that's what happens here. Blachowicz throws first, already conscious of the chain reaction this will initiate, and predictably, Izzy leans back, leaving his legs in front of his head and chest, concentrating on his next counterattack. His legs are right there for the taking. It's time for Jan to capture his moment. He secures the takedown, then half guard, then the round. But it's not over. 5 more minutes to remain champion. He knows what to do. He launches the left hook, making Izzy's entire body move like he wants it to, so he can capitalize on his lack of balance, so he can exploit the natural talents that made Izzy what he is today. Watching this, there's only one thing left to say. What pays the bills? Skill and still. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave a like if you enjoyed. See ya.